Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an extremely special edition of our vidcast. Tonight, we have someone that I, as a product of the East Bay punk scene and Warriors fan, am very excited to talk to. I've been a fan of his for years, and I just about fell over when I saw him talking about the NBA on Twitter. Storming out of the Bay Area music scene in the early 1990s with his high-octane punk ska band Skankin Pickle, Mike Park is a Bay Area legend, musician, and political activist. After touring extensively with Skankin Pickle for a decade or so, he founded Asian Man Records, one of the most respected and trusted labels in the business. It's introduced us to bands like Less Than Jake, Tsunami Bomb, and Alkaline Trio. Currently, aside from managing his record label and watching basketball, Mike hosts a couple of vidcasts. I'm in Love with a Girl Named Spike, which focuses on the show DeGrassi High, as well as his newest endeavor called Music, It's Powerful Stuff, where he brings musicians into his studio to play music and talk about it. Finally, you should check out his current musical projects, Bruce Lee Band, Ogikubo Station, and the Kitty Cat Fan Club. Mike, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. I love basketball, so I'm ready.
I do have to apologize. My co-host Daniel Hardy will not be able to appear tonight because he hates ska music. That's what it is.
Fine. We got to get rid of the dead weight. It's time for you to go solo.
It's his loss. Mike, you watched The Bubble? Any initial reactions that you'd like to share?
I thought it was great because I was really missing basketball so much. So the bubble was better than I anticipated. I didn't miss the crowd. I love the fake crowd noise. I was glued in. I thought it was great.
How'd you come about being a Warriors fan? Like, when did you get into it, and who's your favorite player?
I grew up, I'm quite older than you, I'm guessing. I was a fan from the mid-'70s. So I remember the first championship with Rick Barry and Clifford Ray. And then I saw the dead years where they were the worst team. After that championship, Franklin Muley was their owner, and he just wouldn't spend on the team. So they had this lull, and that was my favorite era, the early 80s. They had Robert Parrish was their starting center, and they traded him to Boston and their first-round pick for the rights, the number 1 overall pick, which was Joe Barry Carroll. And that was my favorite era.
Joe Barry
Carroll at center. Larry Smith, who's my favorite player ever, was the starting power forward. He and Carroll were both rookies together. They both made first team All NBA, all rookie NBA team. Purvis Short was their shooting forward or small forward. I believe. God, I'm trying to think who. I think Lorenzo Romar was a 5th round pick that year. Was the point guard. I think he was the head coach at the University of Washington for a long time. And I don't know who their shooting guard was. I'm trying to think. That's my favorite era. And then Mullen came in after the first year they implemented the lottery where they would have had Patrick Ewing. They ended up getting the last pick, which was Mullen, which wasn't too bad, of course. And I'm crazy. Like, my Warrior knowledge is crazy. I can go back a long time and name the most obscure players.
We did an all-time Warriors draft earlier this offseason with some of the people on the website. And I think I had Purvis Short on my team, and he didn't get nearly the respect that I thought he deserved in the fan voting. But those are
such a pretty rainbow jumper.
Man. Yeah, I really was a big fan of Ewing too, man. All through the years, he was who I modeled my game after.
Did you say
bad model?
Was
Patrick Ewing?
Patrick Ewing, okay.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
I'm about 6'2". You know, back in high school days, I probably weighed 150 pounds, 160 pounds. I was tall, but I couldn't really bang down low. And Patrick Ewing sort of had that outside stretch game around the free throw line before really big men did.
I always wondered what would have happened if he had gone to the Warriors. What kind of turnaround they would have had, but it wasn't meant to be, which is fine.
They got Mullen that year, though.
Yeah, they could have had Karl Malone. Karl Malone went later.
Oh, really? Yeah, you could do that every year, though, right? They've been doing that with some of the Warriors draft picks lately, where Evans didn't exactly stick around, and Jordan Poole isn't that dynamic of a player. But the people who are still on the board, you can play that game every year.
Exactly.
I remember when they picked Klay Thompson, I was really mad because Kawhi was still on the board.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't know anything about Kawhi, to be honest, in that draft. I didn't know anything about him. I
Yeah,
didn't follow
meaning,
San Diego State.
do you watch college basketball at all?
I do, but it's mostly tournament time. Pac-12 stuff I would watch just because I would go to some games just because it's local. A friend of mine is a UCLA alum, so we would go to UCLA, Cal, UCLA, Stanford.
That's right. And did you live in Berkeley for a while?
Very
You a Cal
short
guy?
time. I'm not a Cal guy. I would probably say I'm more of a Stanford guy, but I did live illegally in the student co-op at UC Berkeley for a while in like 1995. And I
Nice.
had a fake student body card too. And I played pickup basketball against Bozeman. Was Bozeman the coach? Jason Kidd era?
I just watch the internet boards and try and figure out who the best people are. You got a guy in this draft?
I guess they're saying this draft is not the best draft, which is unfortunate. There's no like obvious dominant player like a Tim Duncan or Patrick Ewing. I don't know. I would kind of like to get LaMelo Ball just because he's such a polarizing figure that has such an upside that he could be like a superstar. So I don't know. They keep talking about the guy from Memphis as a big, but do they really need a big? How they have Kevon Looney, they have Marquise Chris, and
Patrick Murray from Forbes was talking about drafting Obi Toppin, a more dynamic scoring forward combo guy. You're not worried about the size?
Yeah, I'm not worried about size. I think they just need to get whoever the best player is, and that should always be the goal. Is just pick whoever's the best player, because I think every time when you draft for position need, you're going to get screwed. Like the Trailblazers got screwed by not drafting Jordan and getting Sam Bowie
or Odin even. So he had a lot of red flags, and people took him because he was the bigger guy.
I know, but he was like, that just seemed like such a safe bet. Like he was
it seems safer.
Patrick Ewing, Tim Duncan, David Robinson. Like he was the no-brainer, but no one knew he was going to be so injury prone.
I wonder if there's some of that to be worried about with this James Wiseman guy. I mean, he's not injury prone, obviously, but he's only played less than 70 minutes against meaningful competition. You might think it's a safe pick, and he's not.
I know. Think of football and Frank Gore. He tore his ACL at Miami, and then was he 38 or something? He's still playing as the starting running back for the Jets. When the Niners dropped him. Yeah.
Yeah, when the Niners dropped him, I thought it was over for him. Keeps going.
That's what I thought too, and that was like feels like that was like 10 years ago.
I know, right? Has it been 10 years? It may actually.
I think it's been at least 6 years. I'm trying to think where he went after the Niners. Did he go to the Bills? No, I can't even remember. Anyway,
I gave up.
I think he went to the Colts. He went to the Colts after the Niners,
but yeah, and still was good.
Yeah,
I thought he was all done.
Yeah, I think he had. Even last year, I think he still rushed for 700 yards.
For people who don't know, are watching this, who don't know who Mike Park is or who the band was. So you left this band, Skankin Pickle, which when I was in high school was like the Bay Area band. Green Day took off and got big, but Skankin Pickle was really the shows that we were going to go to for $5. So when you left the band Skankin Pickles in 1996, the band was still really viable and touring heavily. And Tsunami Bombs did a similar thing where they walked away before it was all the way over. The Jerry Rice retirement strategy. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts about the idea of leaving a band when it feels over to Kevin Durant's departure?
No, I think it's very different. For me, it was just like, I just didn't want to tour anymore. What am I trying to say about Kevin Durant? Yeah. I don't like, also, I'm just going off topic. I don't like Kevin Durant. I never liked him. I didn't like when he came to the Warriors. I thought it was unfair. And it was hard for me to root for the Warriors when Durant came, because I loved when they won their first championship. It was all homegrown talent. So it was Clay, Steph, Harrison Barnes, Bogut, but with Bogut, I felt like we traded Monte for him, which was homegrown talent. It was still part of our product, and Draymond. So we had the starting five were all drafted by the team. And then when Durant came in, I was just like, I wasn't feeling it. I felt it was unfair. And I know people say some other team was going to snatch him up, but
I like being the underdogs. I'm excited for this next year because I don't want to be this powerhouse. I don't want them to get Giannis Antetokounmpo. I want them to pick up some. I like when they pick up like a David West or a Zaza Pachulia. I want them to find some hardened vet who'll play for the minimum and play out of their mind. And sorry, I went way off topic with your original question.
Oh, that's exactly what we want to talk about, man. It's because like Steph Curry is going to be back. Klay Thompson looks real healthy running around out there and dunking. And now they've got something to prove. I think Draymond especially has heard a whole lot of chatter and takes it real personal. I'm excited. I actually do Kevin Durant. I was happy when he came here because I don't mind turning the cheat sliders all the way up for a couple games. Let's rack up a few trophies, start a dynasty. But man, when he first came to the team, just like you said, so we used to be on this older sort of chat message board called Golden State of Mind. It was Vox Media, SB Nation sort of thing. And there was a huge, like a lot of the OGs, a lot of the old timers took off when we got Durant. And especially after we won that first championship, because it lost the fun of being an underdog for them. So it's valid.
Yeah, no, for sure. And even their first championship, I even felt bad for Cleveland because they lost Kyrie and Love. And he was just like,
right.
Matthew Dellavedova is starting at point guard, playing his heart out. He was playing so hard, he was throwing up after the game. I felt bad for
Goes
them.
to the hospital.
Like, that was a bad team, and somehow they were up 2-1. I was like, this is insane. And that also solidified to me that LeBron James is really good.
He really is. He's a monster. Especially, he has that gear in the playoff. He has that playoff gear where he sort of lulls everybody during the regular season. Oh, he's lost a step. He doesn't really play defense anymore. And then the playoff comes around and just nobody can stop that guy. And he does so much.
And at the second year when they lost after going up 3-1, that hurt. And I blame Draymond for that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, for getting ejected, for letting his emotion. If he didn't get suspended, they would have won. I think that turned everything. It's like, man, how could you let your emotions get that out of control where you're going to get suspended? And that lost the championship.
Right. I think maybe he might have learned something from that about counting his technicals, because the actual play that finally was the straw that broke the camel's back. Did they even call a regular foul on that during the game? They came in after the game was over. Jordan's talking in the post game, and then the commissioner comes in and says it's not even a flagrant. It's not even a technical foul. We're going to call that a flagrant foul. It's like a very special category that they assigned to it after the fact. Maybe I'm just bitter. Like, I don't know.
I was bitter too. And that was happening during the Asian Man 20-year anniversary. So I was watching, we were having these shows at Bottom of the Hill in San Francisco, and the game was on at the bar, and I was watching it and trying to watch the bands at the same time. Just going, I can't believe they're going to lose Game 7.
It was tough. And it was all the way down to the end. That crazy Kyrie shot, the block on Iguodala, like it was so down to the end.
It was such a soft layup. Like, come on, throw that down.
You know LeBron's right chasing him.
He's got such good hops. Why did he not just throw it down? He would have got fouled at the very least. Maybe he would have torn his ACL, but at least he would have gotten 2 free throws. Something.
Yeah, or jump backwards into the guy. Get wiped out. Shoot some free throws.
Reverse dunk. Come on.
Throw a 360 on him, Iguodala. Be a man.
I do love Iguodala, though. I miss him.
Me too, man. He did great in Miami this year.
He did. What was that one game against Milwaukee where he was just draining threes? He had 6 threes. It's like, oh, come on. It's so good.
What about his departure? Are you cool with him chasing the money and getting the extra deal and not setting himself up?
I thought that was the Warriors' decision, not his.
The Warriors started it for sure. They traded him on an expiring deal to the Memphis team that ended up actually, I think, making the playoffs or being really close to making the playoffs.
Yeah.
But he never played for them for one reason or another. And then he got traded to Miami, and it was Miami who actually signed him and at the same time extended him a fat additional year on top of his already end of career years.
Okay. Yeah, I
Basically,
didn't know
price-
why they traded him to Memphis. Do you know why? I can't recall if there was a.
Money, it was all money. Yes, and this is something that we've been talking about in the writers Slack. Is that in the NBA they have this thing called a repeater tax, where if you go over, they have a soft cap where it's like there's a line, but if you push through it, they start charging you tax for how much higher above the salaries you are until you hit the hard ceiling. So they have this thing called the repeater tax, where if you're up in a certain tier of it for 3 out of 4 years, I believe, then it just gets super punitive, where every single dollar costs you like $5 or something like that. So next year, the Warriors have this trade player exception where they can bring in like $17 million worth of salary without sending salary back. So they escaped the repeater tax last year because once Kevin Durant left, they dumped everything and then screwed themselves because they brought in the D'Angelo Russell guy. But then they wanted more of that max contract player slot because of how the rules are for trading people once you're over the salary cap, because they then moved that guy for Andrew Wiggins, who's a more useful wing player for the Warriors, and also got a couple of really nice draft picks out of the deal.
I like the D'Angelo Russell trade for Andrew Wiggins. I'm excited about this trade. The Wiggins trade is great. I love his size and length. He seems like the perfect fit of the Warriors rotation of switching, the constant switching.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little bit better Harrison Barnes type player, maybe a little more athletic.
Exactly.
Yeah, now I'm thinking about Barnes missing so many threes in Game 7 of that second championship run.
Yeah, I believe he's a better shooter. He's certainly a better scorer. The question is if he can play defense against the fours.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like Barnes could. Barnes is pretty stout.
Yeah, I know Draymond had said Barnes was a great defender.
I just wanted to chat with you as a fan of basketball and music, because for me, that was like all I did. COVID lockdown, basketball stops, live music stops. How are you holding up? How are you keeping busy? How's the nightlife, lack of nightlife treating you?
It's not bad, actually. I don't mind. It's been busy. Work is busy. I think a lot of people are spending money on buying music because they can't go to shows. So we're busy there. Going to shows, I don't miss it a whole bunch because it's tiring. I've been probably averaging 2 shows every week for the last 25 years. And a lot of that was out of obligation because it is my job. Go see friends play, bands that are coming from out of town that are on tour. It would be rude if I didn't go, especially if they're on my label. So it's been a nice little break, and all the shows are in San Francisco, so I'd have to drive 2 hours round trip.
Yeah, I went to one show in San Jose, which I think is down by you.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's up here.
Yep. So yeah, it's not too bad, I'll be honest.
The next question I have for you is, it's about, your record label has been around for 30 years?
25 next May.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
With the sort of download music era, and I know that you say everyone's buying more music, I know I am. I just wanted to talk about the new funding model and how you transition to it. With the download era of music, the website model is based like modern music, where if you want it, you could just go online and get it for free. If you want a song and listen to it on YouTube or whatever. But there's this sort of voluntary subscription model. I just want to hear your thoughts about the record label and general media consumption moving along from the day where you started, where you'd buy the CD, you'd buy the newspaper, and that's what you consume. Whereas now you can get it for free if you want it, but there's this sort of more interactive individual feed system.
Yeah, it's different from it was even 10 years ago. It's everything evolves and there's a progress in everything. So musically, with streaming platforms, Spotify being the number one way people stream music, I know there's a lot of negativity towards streaming in terms of what the artists get in return, but I kind of like it. I like a lot of times people are buying the vinyl as a collector item, or they really enjoy listening to the analog sound, which is great. So we get that sale. but they're all streaming. So I feel like we're getting this free revenue from people streaming it. I'm probably the minority when I'm saying that, but I really like it. And as a consumer, I think streaming is amazing. The fact that you have any song you want at your disposal at any time. What an amazing thing. And it's good for the environment to cut down on all the waste of plastic, and especially the OG CDs where they would just make this 2-foot long box. It just made no sense. So I'm all for it. And I don't see it as a negative.
Yeah, I welcome the CIA into my home. We have Alexa speakers. And I really love just being able to like think of a song or be singing a song and shout it out. Hey, robot, play me this music that I want to listen to. And it just immediately is there. And I have to open everything up and I have to find it.
I love it.
That's good. It's a very similar sort of vibe where I like how easy it is to consume. And if you want to support people, you certainly can.
Yeah. And
okay, so now
it's just music comes back. That's where artists has always made most of their money anyway. So the musicians should be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we'll get there. Okay, so now I want to talk to you about a different subject entirely. So for everybody who's watching doesn't know, Mike Park, you've done something called Ska Against Racism, which was this really big deal, big tour, all designed to organize the ska music community, especially to bring awareness and raise money for causes that help support racism. You recently released another compilation album, also called Ska Against Racism. I want to read you something that someone wrote that I read online today about the sort of expectation about punk being progressive, with the idea that there's a tie-in between the overall organizational broad brush push of places like the NBA or the punk scene, and then just the individual artists and athletes that are directly affecting things by their own personal choices to push beyond just the scene, if you will. Mm-hmm. So this is from a Substack thing called Nothing Gold or Nothing Old. And she's talking specifically about how the punk scene shouldn't be assumed to be progressive. We see over and over again that political art does not have inherent value when it comes to change. Artists can have influence, pushing people to register to vote, for example, or influencing fans to donate money to causes important to them. But that's not a function of the art itself. It's a function of the way the artist chooses to conduct themselves as influential individuals. Politically charged art and entertainment can be massive and still have little real effect. Satire and political comedic commentary have had massive media presences since the Bush administration. And what do we have to show for it? Alec Baldwin's Trump impersonation. So that's the quote. And now I want you to just talk about your feeling about, because you're very vocal and have been for years on this, even naming your band and coming up with racially charged songs. Talk about how the individual pushes the scene.
I don't know if the individual pushes the scene, whereas in my case, I was just talking from my own experiences as an Asian American and dealing with bouts of racism. And so it was just my story being told through music. If we are sharing the parallel of the NBA, which is a predominantly Black league in terms of players, they are sending their message through their story, growing up as young Black men, a lot of them from poor areas, and how that has affected them and how it's important for them to push the Black Lives Movement through their sport. Me personally, I love it. And then a lot of people don't love it because they don't want politics to be pushed in their face, and they want to be on their merry way and have an escape. They watch sports. And I understand it, but it's not real. It's not reality. Human beings have ideas and thoughts, and if they want, especially if you're a person that has some kind of influence, and you want and you have something to say, you're going to say it. Unless you're like with Jordan. The reason I don't like Jordan is because he pushed politics with his brand. He wanted to. The famous quote is, "Republicans buy shoes." Also. And that's why I didn't like Jordan. And that's why I like LeBron, even though I don't like LeBron. I've rooted against LeBron for so much, but I like him because of his progressive ideas. Same with Abdul-Jabbar. I love Abdul-Jabbar because of his political ideas and his articulation of growing up as a black man in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s to present day 2020. I'm excited to hear what he says. It's each person's prerogative of what they want to get out of art or what they want to get out of themselves, what they want to portray towards other people. I try to push politics, but in a respectful way. I understand I'm preaching to the choir in many ways, but I try to do it in a way that's respectful to people who have a differing idea of the way things should be run. But sometimes I'll go off and just lose my mind. But for the most part, I feel like I have a graceful way of pushing my ideas.
Yeah, it seems like you use humor a lot of times to fray the sharp edge.
I try.
Yeah, you did name your band the Chinkies. So there's definitely a sharp edge there.
Yeah, but that was overtly political. Like we did that to emulate what NWA was doing.
Yes, exactly. Right.
And yeah, but yeah, I know we made shirts in the early years. We made shirts, and I think about that and like a white kid wearing a Chinky shirt in the South. Poor guy or girl.
I don't own one. I'm a big fan, but I don't own one.
Yeah, I stopped making them over 20 years ago because I realized it's not the smartest for kids to be wearing, especially if they're not Asian.
Yeah, I catch myself singing the "Don't Sit Next to Me Because I'm Asian" song sometimes. I have to be careful. Because I'm not. Okay, Mike, I really want to respect your time, so we're going to transition to some quick hit questions.
Yeah.
This is just a series that we do at the end of every episode. Your first thought is the right thought. Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Will Jeremy Lin come back to the Warriors?
Not a chance.
He's still playing in China?
Yeah, but in China. He's going to be in China. He's going to be, and he'll remain there. He's done in the NBA.
Oh, I won't tell him you said that.
Sadly.
Freeform circle pit.
Freeform Skankin. Is that what you said? Or circle pit? Freeform Skankin. Way.
Damn it. I'm a big circle guy. I know you're one of those musicians. You probably just stand in the back and drink beer, right?
When I was young, I was into moshing and circle pitting, but yeah, I'm in the back now where it's safe.
All right. Take a random guess, Mike. When's the next time you go to a show? In person.
I don't think there's going to be anything next year. I think next year.
You don't think there's going to be anything next
year? A wash. I think it's going to get worse. I think in the next 3 months, November, December, January, we'll see. I think the number's going to be skyrocketing. And there's just going to be mass hysteria with people getting the flu and just confused if they have COVID-19, and the hospitals are going to be just at full capacity, and it's going to be ugly. Armageddon. But we got the Warriors.
Yeah, March maybe.
They're talking Martin Luther King Day? They're hoping the start of the season.
That's the stretch goal. We'll see. We'll see. Late January, early February is the target.
They just got to make a couple bubbles. They can do 4 bubbles and just have the teams play within each conference and just. Is that what they're talking about?
I don't know. They really need fans to make their finances work. The gate revenue is like 40% of their money, and it's a big number.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. They need fans, but maybe some regional bubbles to start the season, and then see what you can do after the halftime mark or something like that.
Yeah, or let 1,000 fans in and just have them pay crazy amounts of money. I just want basketball.
That's how they're starting to do shows in England, right?
Yeah.
20% capacity, and the tickets are hundreds of dollars. Just a couple more, and we'll.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready? Have you ever ollied a skateboard?
Oh, of course. Ollied over a skateboard. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. What's the best thing you could draw? Like for me, I draw robots.
I'm good at drawing noses. I was drawing a nose earlier when we were talking. I'm constantly drawing noses. I think I can do a pretty good eye too, with a singular eye, eyelashes and pupil, iris, everything.
Did you draw the Chinkies album cover?
I did not.
All right, are you ready? 2 more and then you can go.
Yeah.
Could you beat Jeff Rosenstock in a foot race?
Not anymore. My knee is shot, but I could have 5 years ago, no problem. My knees are gone so many years.
Same. Yeah, I just retired a couple years ago. Okay, my wife is Korean. I love food. I can eat as many mandu as you put at me, but the New Year's Day, the white soup, I can't stand it. Mike, give me your best and worst Korean food dishes.
You don't like the New Year's Day tteokguk?
No, and I know it's so special, and I try it every single year to see if something has changed inside of me, and just the texture of it just kills me.
It's just cakes.
I know, it's not like gummy and thick though. I can't do it, man.
Really? That's so good. Korea, everything is good. I don't know if there's anything I dislike. It's my favorite cuisine. I eat it almost every day. Office is at my mom's house. So I don't know. If obviously my favorites are beefs, the kalbi and bulgogi, but the least favorite, I guess some random panchan side dish, maybe an acorn gelatin type thing that has no flavor. The potato salad, I don't understand why Koreans make potato salad. They make this American potato salad. I never understood why.
Yeah, that's weird. Maybe it's the filler at the buffets. I got chastised for getting the rice at the buffet. The cousins were like, no.
Really? You're filling your stomach with
nobody takes the
non-productive items.
Exactly. Yeah, I got chastised.
Well deserved.
Thank you very much for coming on. I hope you had a good time. I know that about your basketball views, and hopefully you won't get eviscerated on the internet too bad for your Kevin Durant hate.
No, real Warriors fans know. They'll know the sad years. Byron Houston,
2002, Mike.
Victor Alexander, Winston Garland. I like the Outling. I like Byron Houston. I like them all. That's the problem. I liked all the bad teams, every bad player.
Speedy Claxton.
I love Speedy Claxton. I liked when they had Speedy Claxton. Even when they had Mookie Blaylock. I love Mookie Blaylock. Vontigo Cocombs. The list goes on and on. And I loved it. The Kevin Durant Warriors and I wasn't down with it, but I still rooted for them because they're my team, but I wanted to ride and die with Harrison Barnes. Like the Lakers team, look at their starting five. It was like Dwight Howard, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Was Kuzma the starting five? So Kuzma is the only guy drafted by the Lakers. And I was just like, this is a bot team. They bought their team. They bought their championship. So it comes down to who has the most money.
Right. You're going to get a challenge next year, man. The Warriors are going to be back.
They're going to be great. Eric Pascal, get ready.
Nice. Good look out. All right, Mike. Thanks again.
All right. Yeah.
Mark Jackson to the Houston Rockets, Mike Park on Twitter.
Yeah. Is that a realistic something that could happen?
No, I'm a big detractor of Mark Jackson as a coach. He burned a lot of bridges, and the team was so much better his first year gone. I don't know that I would want him to be my coach again.
He did so good, though. He got them to play really well. Gosh, when was Curry's? Was it 2009? Okay, 2009 is Curry's first year. God, even Kobe Carroll's on the Warriors? Oh, no.
I do remember that guy.
George Carl's son, Kobe Carroll.
Rob Kurz was out there maybe next year.
God, I don't remember these D-leaguers. Was Azubuike a D-leaguer that they pulled up?
No, Azubuike was a main guy for us for a long time.
Yeah, but was he drafted or was he a D-leaguer though?
I feel like we drafted him like fairly high.
Oh, really? God, I remember he had huge guns, arm-wise.
Yeah, he's cool actually. He's online now. He does like the TV broadcast, and he's pretty.
Yeah. Oh God, Mikey Moore too, who's a big. Anyway. Okay.
Oh right. He was okay.
Chris Hunter is the guy I'm thinking of. Was a D-leaguer.
Chris Hunter. Yeah, he was okay. He flamed out of the league pretty quick.
Chris Hunter. I loved it. All the D-leaguers. It's my favorite. Okay, I better run here. I haven't even had dinner yet. The only thing I would have traded for music for was to be involved in basketball. Like I would take a job in basketball over music. That's how much I like basketball.
No, you can't. We need you. You can't do that.
But especially back in the day, like in my 30s, if someone said you can be an assistant coach for San Jose State, I would have done it. I would have loved to have been, or a 12th man. If I could have been a 12th man and never had to play, like if I could have been Brian Scalabrine and just come in garbage time, oh, what a job.
And I'll give you some options because we do some pretty detailed stuff. Check out our explain one play.
Okay.
That guy's pretty cool too. You might want to do something with him. We'll get you some options though.
Heck yeah, I'd love to. But yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It was such a pleasure, man. I'm a big fan.
Right on. Have a good one. We'll talk soon.